Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. My name's Connor Williams, joined by Alex McMonies, and this is the preview to the Everton Luton game at Goodison Park this weekend. Luton, obviously new to the Premier League, underdogs in the Premier League, I think is fair to say when you consider their stadium, the average wage of their squad, everything. They are punching above their weight. Alex, how are you feeling about this game leading up to it?
Well, it's odd because if you'd asked me like about a week ago, I'd probably say, "Oh, this has got to be our first win on the board." Surely, like it's been a really rough start to the season, but we'll be really looking at this game, and it'll be one of us two trying to get our first win in the season at last. But obviously, with the week that's just passed, optimism's a lot more higher, and it's a lot more of a case of need to just keep the momentum going, really, and I think any sort of result other than a win would be a negative. I think Luton have, like I say, really struggled so far. Don't look cut out for this level at all. I've got to be perfectly honest, um, and I haven't really shown much indication of beating anyone yet. So obviously, with us still being down there, and like despite the good results in the last couple of games, we will still be down there come the end of the season. There's almost no doubt about it. Really, they'll be eyeing this one. And as an opportunity to get their first points on the board. So, like I say, we've just got to cope with that situation and just get the job done. Really, I think it's as simple as that. Really, it doesn't matter how we do it. It can be an ugly win as possible. It just needs to be 3 points and nothing else will do on Saturday for me.
Yeah, I agree. Looking at Luton now, they've conceded. They're not the worst for conceding goals. I think Sean Dyche said today, didn't he? He said they stay in games well, which they do. To be fair, they've only conceded 11, which when you compare that to Sheffield United's 17 and Burnley's 13, it just shows that they are that little, probably maybe that little bit more defensively sensible out of the three teams that have come up and sit in the relegation zone. I agree with you. I think a couple like before the win against Brentford, I saw somebody say, "What would you take from the next 4 games, 5 games?" Obviously, we've got Liverpool rounding off those five, and it started with Brentford, and like people were like quite right, quite happily saying five, maybe including the Bournemouth, a win, 2 draws. Got one win. This we've got to sort of be looking at as just quality alone, I think we've got the edge there. It obviously it depends. It's at home as well, which gives us an advantage, but it does depend on which Everton decide to turn up. And a win would take us, like I think you're right, we are going to be down there. But it'd take us up to, potentially 13th, depending on how results go. We could actually be above Chelsea, depending on how results go, which out of context sounds absolutely brilliant, but all the points matter, don't they, on the road to safety?
Yeah, of course they do. And like I say, I think a lot of us who have been, sticking by like throughout have been saying that, we're finally starting to see results that the performances are deserved. But at the same time, the performances don't keep you up. It is the 3 points. And like I said before, it doesn't matter how you get them. We need to be making up for the points that we lost in those first few games. So there's no room for like slip ups like in games against Luton and even the Bournemouth one after this as well. We should be winning both of those games. They're winnable games, and it needs to be, like I say, there's no room for error now. It's got to be results over the line to make up for, like I say, the defeats early on in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Luton, just having a look at their squad now, and there are some decent, Premier. They've managed to get some decent former Premier League players. Looking at Marvelous Nakamba, who I'm pretty sure was at Aston Villa before them. Um, there's some decent ones knocking about. Who do you think is the one to look out for in this Luton squad? Who do you think is going to cause us some sort of problems?
Well, the one who's obviously going to stand out will be if he starts, of course, Ross Barkley. There's obviously a whole narrative there about if he manages to somehow get his first goal for them, then it comes against us. I imagine he won't receive the warmest of receptions when he comes to Goodison. So that's like I say, obviously going to be one to look out for. But yeah, as you say, the Canberra's a really decent player. To be fair, real hard worker for them in integral to their system. And obviously, you've got Carlton Morris up front, who I'd like to think we'll be able to keep quiet. If I imagine we'll be sticking with Tarkowski and Brantford. Should easily be able to keep the two up front that they usually play. But yeah, like I say, it's most of them are still, let's be honest, Championship players. They haven't massively strengthened their squad. You look at Nottingham Forest last season, basically buying a whole new team. So they haven't quite done that. It's sticking to the same core of the team that got them up last season. But there's obviously been question marks so far over whether or not that's going to cut it. So, like I say, there shouldn't be anyone that worries us too much, and on quality alone, we should easily be beating these.
Yeah, I think the only team where I've seen them and I've been like really impressed was obviously their game with Wolverhampton, which they drew. Which I mean, if you're a Luton fan, you'd be a little bit looking at it. You'd look like you've been a bit hard done by because I think they were the better team there and probably deserved to walk away with a little bit more than a draw against Wolves, which just shows the sort of mess that Wolverhampton could be in this year. Um, but like you said, a lot of these players are still Championship. I think when they brought Chong, I saw somebody saying this is really clever by them. They're buying players that might not be the top or middle end Premier League players like Nottingham have. But when they go back down, Chong will be one of the better players in the Championship. Their fight to come back up then won't be as tough, which I think is a clever way to do it. Like you said, Forest did a different way. If Forest go down, I don't know what happens with their squad. I think a lot of them lads need to go out on loan if they go down, which is always the way with promoted clubs. They go back down and then you see about four of their players disappear. Um, but yeah, in terms of Everton though, how do you see this? What do you see Sean Dyche going with? Do you think he'll stick with the formation that had so much success against Villa, or do you think he'll revert back to the 4-5-1/4-1-4-1 that we've been seeing?
Think it'll be a little bit of a combination of both, really. I think it'll be back to the same formation, but obviously maybe a few more of the combinations that we saw work so well against Villa. I'd like to think Onana and Garner will be starting again together in the middle. Maybe obviously I know a lot of people will be saying they're going to want just Garner Gay back in, but I'd probably in a game like this I'd go for the core, more attacking option. I think Onana sitting and Garner obviously doing his share of the defensive work as well should kind of counteract I guess the impact that Garner in there would have, and then obviously Decore going forward supporting Calvert-Lewin up front, who I think I'd stick with again if he's definitely still 100% ready to be starting matches again, and then obviously hopefully introduce Beto later towards the game, and then similarly hopefully if Harrison's also still fit to start again, I'd like to see him be in from the start again, just like he was against Villa. And then obviously McNeil. I imagine Mikalenko probably won't be fit to start, so it'll probably be Young, who obviously saw out the game against Villa, and then Brantford, Tarkowski, and Patterson. Again, Patterson I think has to remain in the team after his performance against Villa, and yeah, obviously Pickford in goal. So I'd like to think we'll go for a team like that, maybe 4-4-2. We'll see.
Yeah, I think you're more than likely going to be right. He is going to do that and just change a couple of the roles and combinations of players round. Um, I would like to see the 4-4-2 tested. I don't know if I'd like to see it tested from the off, and just in case it goes wrong, like you said, this is a game we should be winning, ideally. So let's not take the mick, and let's not be disrespectful to Luton and start making mad changes on the assumption that we'd thump them. Um, but I would like maybe towards the end if he just seized the opportunity to. But again, I feel like if we're 2-0 up and it's the 60th minute, he's taking Calvert Lewin off just because his job's done. Like he did against Villa, he took once certain players' jobs were done, he started taking them off, which was good. But I do feel like Onana's was a bit. That was maybe the one player I'd have left on just because it looked a bit short when we were there. Um, but yeah, so give me your score prediction.
I mean, I think, like you say, an ideal scenario would be, cruising to a 3-0 win and then having the last 20 minutes to maybe play around a bit and try a few things out, like you say, or at the same time, perhaps getting a few players off fitness wise. But I'd like to think it'll be comfortable. Like I said, I think it's another one of them where we need an early goal. Otherwise, Goodison's going to get a bit restless, and the more restless it gets, the more it seems to get on the players' backs, and then it's just crying out for Luton to nick it towards the end, like we've seen far too many times this season already. So as long as we avoid that, get the early goal, settle it all down, I'd like to think we'll maybe be able to get a couple more, and it should be a really comfortable victory. So I'm going to hope that happens, and I'm going to say 3-0.
I like it. I like it. You are right about the crowd. I think Ben Foster said, didn't he, last year that players as well, opposition players are well aware. The more angsty it gets, the more Everton are there for the taking. And I think Goodison, I think the fans deserve and have been crying out for a really good like 3-0 win, something to get everybody up. I'm gonna go with 2-0, personally, or yeah, 2-0. I nearly said 2-1, but I'm trying to be a bit more optimistic when it comes to Everton after the two games. But yeah, I still think it'll be a win by hopefully more than one goal. I'd like to see Beto get another goal just so he quickly quiets down the people who might be doubting early on. Because it's always good to see them quieted. They did it with Calvert-Lewin, didn't they, after Villa, and then he, quiet them very quickly, which is nice to see. That is all we've got time for, though, Alex. Thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure to speak to you.
Yep, you too, mate. Thanks for having me.
Don't forget, guys, you can like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and comment down below your thoughts and your score predictions for the game. Look forward to reading them, and I'll see you soon.